Well, I have spoken fairly regularly about the ongoing employment or unemployment saga, and I recently decided that there was one thing that annoys me the most when it comes to the different jobs I either get recommended or in more extreme or rare cases will actually hire me. It is the mask. So, both the position I had last year and the one that I had earlier this year had a commonality of being physical labor inducing positions where you have to run back and forth, grab or hold something. You know, these different jobs that require you to be on your feet and moving about and such. And they also required you to wear a mask for pretty much the entire time that you were there, with the only exception sometimes being if you went to the manager's office or outside, some like on a break basically. And this is just my opinion, but I really despise wearing those things for extended periods of time. So when you have one of those on, at least for me anyway, what ends up happening is I feel like it hurts my breathing or it makes it harder for me to breathe and it'll fog up my glasses, which means that usually the only way I can alleviate my vision being messed with is to take them off, which then makes my vision worse than it would be if they were not fogged up, which they wouldn't be if it weren't for the mask. So it's like one problem creates the other. But I thought it was really interesting when I was just kind of thinking about things in the sense that I realized. So I mentioned there's like this little small group of people in real life, and there's a small group online as well, but of people in real life who consistently will like call me lazy and trash me for being unemployed. But what I noticed was when I think about their positions and the jobs they have, most of it is stuff that doesn't require them to be around others. So for example, I mentioned how one of them has like a never-ending stay-at-home order that went on for 2 years, and sure enough, this person not only has no physical labor involved whatsoever, they can get up and sit in front of their computer that could be in their room. It could be just they go and sit in front of a computer and talk on the phone and type some stuff on there. No mask involved, no getting and jumping around, none of that. So very, very comfortable position. Another one has the same thing where sometimes they have to drive somewhere, but unless they're going to a conference, which they usually don't go to, most of their stuff is them just going and fixing either some equipment or doing some kind of other commission or some type of work where they can take something of another person to their own personal quarters, like their house or their office, and be by themselves while they fix it. So again, it's another position where it does require a bunch of manual labor, and even a few times where they have to get up and move around by driving over there, it still doesn't require them to do this while wearing a mask. And I just thought that was really interesting because um, I have no problem with doing physical stuff. Like everybody sweats, everybody gets. But I think what ends up happening is it's like there's a limit to how much that I'm willing to do, and which is why that thing with that delivery driver I mentioned on my stream I thought was absolutely insane, and I didn't get accepted for our offer the position. I would turn that anyway because I just thought it was nuts to tell someone to deliver 300 packages in one day. But what I thought was really crazy is I've done manual labor before in just outside of working where you're lifting a bunch of boxes or bags, stuff that's heavy, right? And a lot of times when I do that, I'm much more comfortable because I don't have the same issue of the mask hurts your breathing, it fogs up the glasses, so you can't see. Otherwise, you take the glasses off, and then your vision is restored, but only so because you need the glasses to read things that are far away and to make out details and certain stuff like that. So I just thought it was really irritating that every position I get offered or that I'm even able to apply to and not have 900 requirements they want you to have to take it wants me to do physical labor, which again I'm most of it I don't have a problem with, but also do that while wearing a mask. And the worst part is it's like no matter what position I go for, they want you to move around and like be very active while wearing this thing all day. Um, some people have mentioned like working at a warehouse. They have a bunch of people that sit up in there and just, mess with boxes. They stick things certain places. And even if it's maybe only 5, 10 people, which is probably going to be more than that because it's a whole warehouse, they still have you wearing the mask the entire time you're there. I don't know, it just seems nonstop. And I remember one time when I was at the position from last year, the manager was only took their mask off when they were eating, um, and the one from earlier this year only took their mask off when they were in their office. So it really is a thing where people have just gotten so used to. But I said before that one of the problems I have that they don't is they don't wear glasses, so they don't know what it's like to just keep having your vision fogged up by breathing into your mask and then having the breath travel upward. And I don't know. It's really annoying. I wish I could find some, again, physical labors, whatever, but some position where you can work and also be in some kind of scenario where you don't have to have that thing on for at least a majority of the time that you're there. Because if you have an 8-hour shift and you have this thing, I'm not even joking. I got off of some shifts where they were 4 hours long, 6 hours long, 8 hours long, and the first thing I did was take off the mask. And the only reason, because I'll take like Uber to go to these different places, which some of them are not that far from where I live, but it's just like I would rather walk back to my house, which sometimes will take an hour, 2 hours, not 2 hours, but like usually about an hour, depending on, again, like the stuff isn't that far away. But I'd rather take a twice or three times as long trip to go to my house by foot than to get in a Uber and have to wear the mask for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 25 minutes. That's how sick of these things I am. And it just seems like it's never going away. Like it's going to be 2024 or 2034 and we're still wearing these things. And it's really awful because I'm someone who is, again, willing to do most work, but that's like a specific thing that's just, it won't go away. Like I applied to a position, I think I mentioned like 2 years ago for this bakery. They were wearing masks back then. They're still wearing them today, and it's just like, when does it end? So yeah, that's been the number one thing that like dissuades me from what, like I'm not. It doesn't make me not want to do work, but it is the thing where I'm just like, oh man. That's why it's funny. It's like I'm more irritated by having to have this thing on my face all day long than the actual work itself. That's how bad these masks are. Just like for the reasons I provided. So I probably wouldn't turn down a position over having to wear it, but it definitely is the thing I look the least forward to, if that makes any sense.